Hey everyone, Mr. JVB here. So today I'm going to be making my reactions, whatever you want to call it, to the Oscars. I honestly wasn't really looking forward to the Oscars this year just because of the films that were nominated. Oopsies, my finger is covering the camera. I hadn't seen most of them, and there were just films that I don't think necessarily deserve to be nominated for Best Picture, like Bohemian Rhapsody, which didn't even get good critical reviews, so that just was weird. And Black Panther, which I just didn't think necessarily deserved to be Best Picture. Um, but nonetheless, there were actually some picks that really surprised me this year. I'll talk about that later on once I get to those categories. But yeah, really the only categories I was looking forward to this year were animated feature and visual effects, which I'm normally very looking forward to because visual effects, always has like big blockbusters that I love. So, uh, you know, I would have been excited for that category no matter what. But it's just funny when those are the only two categories I actually care about this year. Um, so let's go over this. So supporting actress, Regina King won for If Beale Street Could Talk. I haven't seen any of the movies nominated in that category, so I cannot speak on that really. Makeup and hairstyling, Vice won over Border and Mary Queen of Scots. Again, haven't seen any of those movies, so I can't really say how those were, but Vice did have really good makeup from what I've seen. It reminds me a lot, like with what they did with Christian Bale. It reminds me a lot of what they did with Gary Oldman last year. With the fat suit and everything, and making it look super real. So that makes a ton of sense to that one. Costume design, Black Panther one, which I actually can stand behind. I think that's a really good pick because, yeah, like I still think it's a really good movie. I don't think it deserves like Best Picture or things like that, but I have no problem with it winning stuff like costume design, and I think it definitely deserved that. It had like some fantastic costume design the entire movie. Like it was really cool seeing what they managed to do there. I've seen the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I didn't really think about the costume design too much in that movie, but I guess it was really good. And Mary Poppins Returns had some pretty good costume design as well, but Black Panther would have been my pick for that one, so there you go. Production design, Black Panther won as well. So that's like sets and like that kind of stuff, how they look, how the film looks with all of its like, sets and the stuff that like the places that movie takes place in. I am all over the place right now. Black Panther won once again, which makes sense. I honestly was expecting like First Man to win, or not necessarily to win, but I would have gone with First Man or Mary Poppins. A lot of people were expecting Roma to win that one, but yeah, my pick would have been First Man or Mary Poppins. But Black Panther won, which is a good pick. It's just a lot of that movie was also green screen, but when there was like real legit sets, they looked fantastic. So I can sort of stand behind that one. I just would have gone with, I think, Mary Poppins. Cinematography, Roma won. Haven't seen any of those movies besides A Star Is Born, so can't really speak there. Star Is Born, I never really thought about the cinematography. I guess it was good. It was never on my mind watching that film. From what I've seen, whenever I see the trailers for Roma and stuff, it does have really good cinematography. So there's that. Sound editing and sound mixing, Bohemian Rhapsody won both of. I was actually kind of expecting First Man to win. I think if there's any movie that got snubbed a ton this year, it would have been First Man for like not winning categories that I think it should have won for, but also just not getting nominated for certain categories I would have expected it to. For example, supporting actress was really surprising to me. Best picture was surprising to me. Best original score, like none of those things did it get nominated for, and that was really shocking to me. If it was nominated for those things, that probably would have been my pick for most of those categories because I think that film was like a technical masterpiece. I don't know if it was necessarily a masterpiece from a storytelling standpoint. Even then, it was still really good, but yeah, I was just surprised. But anyways, Bohemian Rhapsody won. And I think that's a pretty good pick. I can definitely agree the movie had amazing sound, so that makes sense. You know, it is amazing hearing like Queen and like the electric guitar and everything sounding so like epic. So it makes sense in that one in my opinion. Foreign language film, Roma won. I don't know anybody who would have expected any other of the films to win because Roma was also nominated for Best Picture. None of those other films were, so by default, Roma kind of wins Best Foreign Language Film. It's the same as when Toy Story 3 won Animated Feature. It was nominated for Best Picture, so by default, it would win. So yeah, film editing, Bohemian Rhapsody won. Which yeah, from like the nominees, I would agree with that. None of the other ones really stand out to me. I haven't seen any of the other ones besides Green Book, so I can't really speak too much there. But yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody did have some really great editing, so that all makes sense. Supporting actor, Mahershala Ali won for Green Book. He was great in the movie. I know he won supporting actor as well 2 years ago, so he's definitely like doing a great job. It's cool that Adam Driver got nominated, though. I just find that funny. yeah, animated feature film. This was a category I was kind of interested in this year because it was basically between Incredibles 2 and Spider-Man. Spider-Man 1, which makes sense, it has the best critical reception of any of the films. Incredibles 2, I really liked. Between the two of them, they're kind of like equal for me, honestly. I guess Spider-Man was probably the more interesting of the two from like an animation standpoint and storytelling standpoint. But yeah, Spider-Man 1, so that was really awesome. Bayo won animated short film, which made sense to me. Visual effects. This category actually really surprised me. It is really the only category besides one other that blew my mind that it won. It didn't really blow my mind. It kind of made sense. I was just expecting Infinity War to win. My personal pick was Ready Player One. I just thought that movie had so much stuff going on and it always looked really good. But no, First Man won, which really surprised me. But at the same time, it didn't, because the Oscars like to I find sometimes the films that win visual effects aren't necessarily the ones that have all of the really cool world building things. Like, I don't know how to put it. This probably sounds really stupid. Like, for example, I look at Last Jedi. I think that movie had amazing visual effects. Like every moment on screen, there were some things that didn't look good, but every moment practically to me looked fantastic. There were so many really cool effects. But Blade Runner ended up winning, which looked really good as well, but that wasn't on my mind as much from a visual effects standpoint. So that's what I mean. They kind of go with the films that I guess you could say look more realistic in a way, because obviously you're not going to think aliens look realistic. So I don't know what I'm saying right now. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying, but I understand why First Man won, because you could never really tell that it was fake. You knew it was because they're not filming in space, but it looked really realistic. And there you go. That's my quick thing that made no sense. Green Book won original screenplay. BlacKkKlansman won adapted screenplay. So that's cool. Black Panther won original score, which I actually liked. I don't remember. I can see the other nominees, obviously, and I haven't really seen any of them besides Mary Poppins Returns. I don't remember what the longer list was of films before the final nominees released. I don't remember what they were, but yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other movies that came out this year that I think deserved it. I thought Aquaman had a really cool soundtrack as well. It does not surprise me that it didn't get nominated, but yeah. Black Panther though, really cool soundtrack. I digged it, so I can stand behind that. Original song, Shallow won from A Star Is Born. That easily makes sense because none of the other songs I actually think really deserved it. The Place Where Law Things Go was nice from Mary Poppins, but yeah, Shallow by far the best one. Is the one that actually is stuck in my head. So, yep. Best Actor, Rami Malek won for Bohemian Rhapsody. That was awesome. He was great in that movie, so he definitely deserved that. He was easily the best part of that movie by far. Christian Bale, from what I saw, looked fantastic in Vice. Bradley Cooper was pretty good in A Star Is Born. I mean, he was really good in A Star Is Born. I don't think he really stood a chance against those other two people I just mentioned. Viggo Mortensen was great in Green Book. Haven't even seen Willem Dafoe in Eternity's Gate. But yeah, Rami Malek won, and that was my pick as well, so that's good. Best Actress, Olivia Colman won for The Favorite. Her acceptance speech was hilarious. That was probably the best part of the Oscars tonight, was her acceptance speech. She was really funny, so that was great. It wasn't some long, thank you, to 150 people. So I liked hers. There were some kind of funny moments where the Oscars would just completely turn off the mic so people couldn't speak. I was like, really, guys? Best Director, Alfonso Cuarón won for Roma. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, I was expecting, because he won Best Director, usually Best Director gets Best Picture, so I was like, okay, so Roma is going to get Best Picture. And then Green Book ends up getting Best Picture, which really surprised me. That was not the last one I would have expected to, but I really wasn't expecting it to, and it did, so that is awesome. That's actually one of 3 movies I saw one of 4 movies I saw that got nominated for that category. So yeah, I was really surprised that won, because I was just sitting there like, oh yeah, okay, it's gonna be Vice, or not Vice, sorry, it's gonna be Roma, and then Green Book comes out of nowhere and takes the win. It kind of reminds me of when Moonlight won. I was not expecting Moonlight to win back in whatever year that was. So, and same with Spotlight. That Spotlight was even more surprising back in 2016. So there you go, guys. The Oscars. They're okay this year, I guess. I don't really have much to say. I'm just surprised that Green Book won, but it deserved it because I thought it was great. So thank you for watching this terrible video, and bye.